Welcome back to Word with Ty Brownlow, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. And remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. And today I have a very, very special guest for you all. Let me give you 4 words about my guest. Entrepreneur, insightful, conversation starter, most importantly, author. And he's here to talk about his book, Cheating is Not Cheating. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Philadelphia, Mr. Wolf Dingle. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I want to send it back to my man, Ty, man. I appreciate the warm introduction, and I appreciate you having me, and I'm honored, man. It's a pleasure to be here, you know what I mean? Shouts out to you. Shouts out to your original hometown back in the Chi. Philly love.
All good, man. All good. I told you, man, Philly's one of my favorite places, man. You know, hey, if I wasn't in LA, I'll probably be in Philly. All right.
Definitely, I know that. I'm trying to get out of LA.
So let's get into this book, man. This is a very, very interesting book you wrote. It's called Cheating is Not Cheating. Very interesting title. So let's just talk a little bit about it. Now, you basically saying that understanding the solution to everything and the cure for ignorance, this is pretty much, you know, what the basis of the book is about, or what more is Cheating is Not Cheating about?
So the whole concept, you know, that you describing, I say that ignorance is the only problem. And
I'm sorry, ignorance is the only problem.
Yeah, so with that being said, you know, we fear what we don't know. We dislike what we don't know. We hate what we don't understand. If you put, you know, 2 opposites in a room, the disconnect comes in a lack of understanding, right? So we got 2 opposites being a male and a female, you know what I mean? Or the masculine and the feminine, you know what I mean? And without understanding for the nature of each role, you know what I mean, it's no bridge that can be formed. It'll always be a gap, you know what I'm saying? So in my best intentions of the book to provide an understanding from my perspective, not personally, but just based on observation and, you know, different analysis, experiences, inside, outside, and transitioning for, you know, the mind of a man and the mind of a woman, how they can, you know, better understand themselves, understand each other, because we can't understand one another if we don't even understand ourselves, definitely as men. So, you know, that's why I say a guide to understanding the male nature, because I'm more so focused on understanding the mind of a man, but it ain't just for women, it's for the man to understand himself as well, to be better for that woman.
Now, that's very key at that end, to be better for a woman. You have to have understanding for yourself to be better for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump right into it, man, because, you know, as far as male and female relationships, there's always going to be some type of like friction. There's always going to be something. But at the end of the day, we always come together.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. So, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you talk about in your book. And in one of the chapters in your book, you talk about pride and ego.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that's something that I touch on a lot, especially when it comes to individuals trying to better themselves. Yeah. But as far as relationships, tell us a little bit more about pride and ego.
So I think that, you know, if we talk about chapter 9, which is geared toward just pride and ego in itself, I think that not too many people understand the roles of pride and ego. And we often put attention on the outcome of like cheating, you know what I'm saying, being the end. But, you know what I mean? I think that is more pride and more ego that in relationships than anything. You know what I mean? Sometimes the pride be too strong. Like, you know, somebody don't want to let something go, or somebody don't want to apologize or admit when they're wrong or communicate on no level. You know what I mean? And then it's that ego to where though you could want to let it go, but your ego is not allowing you to let it go. You know what I mean? And I always talk about, you know, it's in a man's nature. We have ego. You know what I'm saying? The level in which that ego operates is determined by where that man is at mentally, right? Because nobody can tame our ego by us, right? So it's like, it's just impossible. It's not a woman out here. There's no discipline and no consequence. Nothing can stop a man's ego but himself. This is why they say ego is your enemy. Because if you have a weak ego, it's going to reflect in how you carry yourself. You have a need to be number one. You have a need to be right. You have a need to be first. You know what I'm saying? But when your ego is more on the strong side of things, you're more so comfortable in your own skin and your ability to deliver at what level it is. So when you just put that into a relationship and you cope that with, you know, the pride that I would say that's instilled into women, you know, just like it causes confusion, it causes confliction. So for me, I wanted to take that chapter to identify what pride was generally, what ego was generally, so somebody can apply either method to themselves. Like either they're like, okay, I got a strong pride, or I got a weak pride, or I got a strong ego, or I got a weak ego. And then in that following chapter, I based it more so on men and women and how it identifies in each of us differently. Because if I don't know which triggers my girlfriend, then I don't even know if I'm doing things that trigger her. And vice versa, if she don't know which triggers me, then she don't even know if she's doing things that trigger me. So it's like being able to identify what those things are, pride and ego, and then being able to identify how they appear and show up in us in circumstances and scenarios and situations, then we can find a common solution for it, which is understanding.
Oh, man, brother. Okay. Hey, nailed right on the head, because, just to, go a little bit further into it, we're on social media most of the time, and you can scroll up and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. There's always something. Basically, you hear men going at women or women going at men. A lot of times I hear stuff about relationships and why relationships never go to the next level if men and women are like so-called shacking up.
Right.
And that's all up and down my timeline.
Right.
So I want to get your opinions about that. Why do you think sometimes, men or women go into relationships and, they get with their, significant other and they get an apartment, what have you. They play house,
right?
Have no intentions on becoming a family.
I think that the reason a lot of that tends to occur because people don't know what makes them happy individually, and then they become an entity. So it's like when you let's remove love, let's remove relationships. Let's look at if it was a business relationship, right? Okay. You're not going to do business with anybody, and I look at shacking up like doing business. It's just a different type of business. You're not going to do business with anybody that has no value, right? So, and at the same time, you wouldn't even be able to do the right amount of business for yourself if you don't even know your own value. So a lot of times people go into these relationships looking for the other person to tell them their value. You're going to get fucked every time. Excuse my language. I'm not sure if I can.
No, brother. Hey, word with Brownlow, you can say what you want to say.
All right, cool. So it's like, yeah, I got this show, like, what you want to give me for it? I'm like, I got $5. And if you don't know your worth, you're going to take that bare minimum of what I'm offering because you don't know that you're sitting on top of something that's a gold mine. So until we view ourselves as a gold mine, and then it's like one of the things where you don't want to be too up within the way you view yourself to where though you got so high of a level of expectation that you're not leaving room for no negotiation. I'm not gonna say compromise because I don't believe in that, just adjustment, right? But it's more so along the lines of understanding your worth. If you're gonna get in a relationship with somebody, you have to know what you want out of the relationship based on what complements you as a person individually. So it's not to say that you have all of these wants that can't demand. Demand and what you require is two different things. A demand is you almost trying to put that on somebody else. Like, I demand you be this type of person. But a requirement is like, listen, I love you for who you are, but this is more so what fulfills me. If everybody focus on what fulfills them individually, then when they get in a relationship, anything that their partner can bring to them, they'll know what their value is. You have to know what you want out of a situation in order to maintain your happiness, or you sacrificing your happiness. And now it's a trade. I gotta be happy, or you gotta be happy, or we can't be happy. And I don't want to get in that. I don't want to trade. I want it to be where we both can operate together. So when we look at social media, it's like people are scared to be alone. So many people are scared to find themselves. They're scared of that gap from relationship to relationship because you got two types of people. You got the person that's scared to get back in another relationship because of the fact they don't want to get hurt again. And you got the person that's in a relationship every other day because they don't want to be alone. But both of these people, one person has to have faith in the process of love, and the other person has to have faith in the process of self-love. You follow what I'm saying? So this is how we can stop seeing these relationships happen where so many people are together and then they get time in and they be afraid. They're like, oh, I got 10 years in with this person. I don't want to waste my time. But life is an experience. So you can only waste your time the moment you realize that it's not what you want and you hold on to it. Anything up until that point is an experience. It's not wasted time. You're going to learn something. You're going to gain something. But only if you view it as something that you learn as something that you gain. So that's just like my grand opinion on relationships and like how they end at not going nowhere because two people don't know what they want coming into it and they're looking for that person to fulfill them. And it's like we could both be like this instead of like this. The only way we could be like this is we know.
So to your point, man, I hear this all the time. Man, we've been living together. Man, I cook for him. Or, well, man, I go to the store, I clean up, I pay bills, I do this. I mean, we're doing all this. Man, we're having kids with these people. And at the end of the day, when they get asked a question such as, well, when you all gonna go ahead and get married? Oh, I don't know, man. Man, you know what? I'm good on her, man.
Right.
She ain't what she be tripping. Or from a woman's standpoint, he ain't even there yet. But as you said before, sometimes you can have these relationships, man, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and it's still the shacking up, moment over you, and there is just no compromise. Because I feel like sometimes people just can't get out of their own way. Right. And I also feel people don't ask themselves the most important question: what do I really want?
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
What is it that I really want? So on that note, I want to go into the next chapter from Pride and Ego to his weak ego made me do it, to her strong pride couldn't let it go. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so they almost was two different chapters, because like that chapter highlights, but I consolidated them because I wanted not only to focus on the male ego, but I wanted to describe the female ego and how it affects the man and the woman, and how the male ego affects the man and the woman. And the same thing with the pride. See, in my theory, I feel like when I say his strong ego, his weak ego made him do it, it's him having that desire to be first. See, because if a male ego is weak, he's going to need a stroke. Sometimes one woman ain't enough to stroke his ego. That's the reality in it. You know what I mean? A lot of times people try to often neglect the reality. And if a man ego is at a certain point, he still have a desire to have nice cars and the most money and be this, but it's not limited to nice things. If we took money out the world, we took girls out the world, a man would still want to be number one. He want to be the strongest. He want to be the fastest. You could put a man in a room with all men, he still want to be the best guy in that room. Sure. So it's not really limited to just women, but often it's neglected as a reality. And not too many men speak up about this reality. So I wanted to talk about that because I'm like, a lot of the times the thing that he's doing is just his desire to be number one. If it's number one in having the most money, he wants to be the CEO of the company. If it's number one in having the most women, then he wants to be freaking Magic Don Juan or somebody. You know what I mean? He wants to be somebody that has a lot of girls. You know what I mean? So with that, it did as far as from a pride standpoint, because I say like men's pride is weaker than a woman's pride. Like a man don't have no pride with his woman. A man has pride with another man because of his ego. But as far as his woman, he'll kiss her feet, he'll kiss her behind, he'll apologize, he'll show up with flowers. If he messes up, a man with a weak pride has no problem with saying he's wrong. A woman's pride is a little bit set up a little bit more different. Try to get a woman to apologize. It's just set up different. But she doesn't have the ego that a man has. Like, she don't have that desire to be number one and have the most men. She just wants the best man for her. So in that chapter, I break down the nature of a man and a woman, and like, she don't have that ego that he has. But if she does have that ego, then it's like, a woman with an ego is like, oh snap, like she has a big ego, you know what I mean? But a man is more than that thing. A man with a weak pride is like, they'll say he's acting outside of a man's nature. They're like, he shouldn't be acting like that, you know what I mean? A man shouldn't act like that. A man is supposed to act like this. So it's me looking at the natural road, you know what I mean? And saying like, naturally, this is what happens and this is what happens. You know what I mean? Now, what happens in between that is just what happens. But I wanted to separate the two so you understand, like, when he does this, this is his ego. When she does this, this is her pride. So if you're looking at somebody and you don't understand why they being reacting a certain way, like, or why she has her guard up, it's her pride. It's pride. If her guard, she's guarded because she's trying to protect herself. Her moral compass told her that she needed to redirect to what she's doing to stop this from happening. So she changed. His ego is telling him, yo, you need more women, or you need more money, or you need a better car. So this is why he's doing that. You know what I mean? Understanding these things in a relationship, and you could be able to identify them. You can't change it in somebody, but by understanding it, you can either love them for who they are or release them.
Okay. Brother. Woo! Okay, hey. Cheating is not cheating. I didn't write the book. Dingle wrote the book. Okay, I'm just letting you know. All right. So, man, I just wanted to jump into that real quick because those were some of the first things that stuck out when I was going through the table of contents. I was like, oh, ego. I talk about this all the time because the bottom line, that's where I feel like all, I'm not going to say problems or whatever, but any conflict or any misunderstanding, I think that's where everything comes from. It
100%.
comes from ego. It comes 100%. From understanding. Okay, so let's talk about cheating, because in your book you describe what is cheating. So what is cheating?
So in the book, and just in the way I view it, I said, you know what I mean, I disclosed that, like, I'm still putting my finger on, you know, because there's no universal law to what cheating is, right? It's subjective and perspective based. What you might be okay with, the next person might not be. So you can't say, like, this is cheating. You know what I mean? Like, we can say infidelity, but then we got polygamous relationships. So it's just like everybody's views is different, but society is suffering by trying to make it a view. Like, this is cheating. But it's like, but I don't believe that. So you telling me to be not okay with something I'm okay with? That I don't understand that. So my thing is more so like, when you get with your potential partner, y'all need to have a conversation as to what you think cheating is. So it makes sense. So it's like, oh, I did not, because a lot of times people assume that they vibing at the same frequency and they just understand, like, oh, yeah, this is cheating. Everybody know that's cheating. You shouldn't be looking at another man, or you shouldn't be looking at another woman. That's cheating. You know that. You shouldn't be writing somebody on social media, but you could be like, I never viewed it like that. So It's important to have that conversation. Like, what is cheating? You know what I mean? For me, I know what I'm not okay with, and when the time comes for me to have that with my partner, that's the conversation we'll have. But as far as in me just deeming certain things a certain way, I describe it throughout the book. So that's why I check it out.
All right. Hey, man, look. So that's my whole thing, because and it's, you know, it's very key what you just said. Like, when you get into a relationship, you need to have these talks. I talk about tough conversations all the time. We are really afraid to have these real, true, tough conversations because of our ego, our pride. We don't want to look a certain way, or we don't want to come off like we're like a certain, you know, something that 9 times out of 10 we probably are, but we don't want to come off that way. During these times, you know, well, as I call it, the COVID times, during these COVID times, and man, you know, you have a lot of separation. What are some of the things that you are seeing personally that people are having a hard time, you know, being in relationships? Like, how are they, like, sort of adjusting? Because at one point, everything was at a peak and people were already separated, you know? If you were not living together, you were separated. And, you know, if people had issues with the universal standard of cheating, where, you know, a person, you know, man or woman was always off doing something that they didn't have any business doing, according to the other person. And now you have this situation where, well, man, we can't even be around each other because it could be deadly for us, you know? What are some of the things that you've seen so far during these times, you know, as far as, like, how things have, like, transferred?
I think that as horrendous as this year has been, I think that a lot of the quarantining was necessary. If you were unable to spend time with your spouse, then you were able to spend time with yourself. So it's like, this is your time as a man or woman to identify, because sometimes when you're so much in somebody's space, you can't even see yourself individually no more. Your decisions become about them. Your life become about them. Your love becomes about them. I think quarantine opened up a door to see inward about yourself. Like, well, I can't be around this person. So, and like, a lot of times people might not even want to be in certain relationships, but so glued together that they don't even know what a detachment feels like. And I think during quarantine, if you was forced to be away from your spouse, you got to see what that looks like. So you can now either appreciate the love that you get as a person, or you can realize that you might be better off without, right? That's one way. Another thing is, certain people was actually forced to be together in this time. So then you got to learn a lot about yourself and your partner, because I think it's not enough of that. The world moves at such a fast pace that everybody's looking to that next peak moment. They're not looking day to day, they're dealing. Like, every day you deal with it, And if you got a job Monday through Friday and you off on the weekends, you deal from Monday to Friday to experience your weekend, right? But I think that you should be able to experience life every day because you should always be doing what you love to do. So if you got two people and they forced to be together, now more time than they ever had to be together before, they get to even determine if this is, how can I get married and talk about forever with you if I can't even spend 2 months together with you? Right? You know what I mean? If I'm not getting lost in these moments and I want these moments to end, and it's not to say that you should always feel like being around somebody because you are entitled to your personal space, but it just gave you an up-close look at your partner. So I think that, like I said, as horrendous as 2020 has been, it did two things. It separated people that needed that space to themselves, and it brought people together that needed to see what that looked like so you could determine if this is the person for you, because too many people out here in relationships that they don't even see for themselves. Like you said something about, you know, being together for 10 years, 15 years and not getting married. As men, like the truth is we cannot find the right woman for ourselves until we have truly found ourselves. Because you will not be able to, there's no way around it. You're gonna always be 10 years, if you don't know, you're 10 years, 11 years, I don't know, because this person hasn't found themselves. And then when you find out who you really are, you either gonna feel indebted to the relationship because of the time, and you might end up moving on her timeline of what she wants, and then you're not happy, or you're gonna hurt her, and then she's not happy. So it's like, fine, that's why I tell men, it's no rush. It's okay to date. Same thing, and I even spoke on it in my video, went viral on Instagram, where I said, like, women, like, the best thing you can allow a man to do is find himself. Because then when he finds you, he gonna know why he wants you. He know exactly why he wants you. You don't have to ask him what y'all are. He's gonna know what y'all are because he know what he wants. He know what he's missing. He know what he has and he know what he wants. But if he don't know what he wants in life, he's just gonna be dealing. Going to be dealing, and he's gonna be letting life take him on his own course. And when he get a stronghold of his life, and he realized that this wasn't the person for him, it's gonna look like he wasted her time. That's what it's gonna appear. Like, you made me have 3 kids by you. You kept telling me to wait, and then we didn't get married. And now I got 3 kids. Now I gotta go find somebody else. But it's like, yo, like, he had to find himself. You know what I mean? And that's why the experience and the wisdom and all that is key.
Hey man, look, so I'm just gonna give you my personal backstory in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
I was where you were talking about. I'm gonna say maybe about 4 to 5 years ago.
Okay.
Mentally, I knew I was ready to go to another level. Right. I wasn't dating anyone particularly at that time, but I knew I wanted to go to another level because in my heart of hearts and in my mind, I knew where I wanted to be. And where I was, I just wasn't feeling it, you know? So I just went through my transformations, and basically my wife and I, you know, man, when it came down to me having a conversation with her before she was my wife, right. You know, we just had a conversation. In this conversation, basically, I knew that, hey, you know what? This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a person, you know, who has understanding. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. This person is hitting all of the check boxes that, man, mentally, man, I said I wanted this. Man, you know what? She's doing it. Man, you know, man, I wanted that. She's doing it. Damn, you know what? Let's get married.
Right.
You know, and, you know, as normal as it was for me, in my mind, to other people, they were just like, why the hell are you doing it? Like, you don't really know. You don't. I'm like, no, bro, I know.
Right.
Because I know where I am here. I mean, I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm really there, but y'all just got me here.
Yeah.
So I need to leave y'all. Y'all cool. Y'all my boys, you know, pound. I got to be out.
Yeah.
You know? So I took me to another level, you know, and man, best decision I could have ever made, you know.
And it's crazy that you even say that because it's like that's the arrival point that a man has to come to when everybody don't see it, but he sees it. And you said one thing about us as men, we aren't that difficult to figure out. Like, it's literally a guideline. You know what I mean? Now it's like, men are different by their morals, their integrity, their dignity. But by nature, a man is a man. Morally, integrity-wise, dignity, all of those different things, principles is what separates each individual man and creates his character, right? But when you think about just the nature of a man, it's not that difficult. So when you checking off all of the boxes in your world that fits your world, you can like, this woman makes me happy. This is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. A lot of times men can so, and another thing, it has to be natural. You don't want to be where though you have somebody that can check off the boxes only because you made them be able to check off the boxes. You see what I'm saying? And
right.
That's what relationship don't last. So you was at a point where like she did this naturally. It didn't matter what nobody else said because they didn't have implication over your relationship. Like it was for you. You like, this is going to get me to that next level. You saw the vision, you saw her role in that, and going to that next level, and you wanted her to assume that position. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's that level that men have to arrive at. That's the level that I talk about where though that's when he's going to marry you. That's when he's going to get married to you. When he can check off the boxes, not the boxes she wants you to check off, not the boxes you force her to fit into, but the boxes you come to on your own time. Like, yeah, this the one. You know what I'm saying? So I commend you for even sharing that because somebody out here need to hear that. You know what I mean? Definitely.
Oh yeah, hey man, look here. I have no problem. And look, as Gangstar said, ain't no shame in my game, you know? No shame in my game. So I have no problem, like, you know, expressing me. But man, this is a very interesting book that you have. Man, if there's one thing you can tell our viewers about your book, what would it be? Why should they get this book?
I think that, for one, if you're going into the, if you should get this book if you have a desire to understand, whether you want to understand yourself as a man, you want to understand how your woman perceives your actions as a man, or you're a woman, you understand how your man thinks, you know what I mean, or you want to understand how he perceives your actions as a woman, you know what I mean, and then it's just a book based on understanding. What I will suggest is that you go into it with an open mind. Don't be afraid to challenge what you think you already know. Remember that the first thing that we were taught isn't always right. So sometimes we get fixated on our views based on our personal experiences. This book isn't predicated on personal experiences. It's about human nature. So go into it with a level of understanding and the ability to allow yourself to learn. If you want a rebuttal, just make sure you cross-examine yourself as you cross-examine in the book. All of that is good because we don't learn if we don't challenge what we think we already know. Every concept that I came across was challenged by something that I thought I knew before. And this is how I was able to develop such, you know, a high level of wisdom. You know what I mean? So that's my take to y'all. And just, you know, they said black men couldn't write books, you know, we proving them otherwise. So that's what this is about. And, you know, it's my intention to change the world. I want to heal as many people as I can through understanding.
Well, Dingle over here putting down the knowledge, man, all the way from the East Coast, Philadelphia, telling you, hey, I see you over. Man, if anybody needs to get in contact with you, how can they find you? First of all, how can they get this book?
The book is on Amazon. Literally, if you Google it, it's the first thing that pop up. Cheat is not cheating. It's on a book patch. It's in Barnes & Noble. It's on my website, thewolfhasspoken.com. That's like my main source of traffic. If you need to locate me, I'm at Wolf WSE on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. I'm Naeem Wolf Dingle, the same name that's on the book. So pretty much, you can find me at any one of them handles. You can find the book, like I said, thewolfhasspoken.com, Amazon. Be sure to leave a review. And only thing I challenge y'all to do is have a conversation. If you're not having it with your partner, then have it with a friend. Suggest the book to people. Spread the message. We get to determine what messages we spread. Make sure we spread the right messages. Spread the message. When you read the title, read past the title. Read past the title. All of the secrets is on the other side of the title. So just make sure you do that, and you will fully have an understanding for why I say cheating is not cheating.
Okay, so before we get out of here, I have to ask you this question. This is the question that my show is known for. Mr. Wolf Dingle, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Leadership. I feel like I could give you a multitude of words that describe me, but the reason I say leadership because I lead by example. I practice what I preach. I'm a man of my word. You know what I mean? I'm a man of the word. So with that being said, it's like, you know, I'll show up exactly practicing what I preach. What you read from me, what you see of me is what you get from me. And the reason it's good to be a good leader because I can't tell you to go somewhere that I'm not going. So I don't even have to tell you to go. And if you see me going there and you decide to follow behind my, my footsteps, you'll be going in the right direction. You know what I mean? So I say leadership. You know what I mean? I'm a man of integrity, honor, dignity, loyalty, unity. Love. I could say love. Love is the ultimate force for me. I spread love. I accept love. You know what I mean? And I don't try to describe love. Love is love, and as long as it comes off positive, I'm giving it out and I'm accepting it, I'm reciprocating it, and love and leadership. I gotta give you two.
LL, hey, love is love, y'all. Hey, look here, man. Brother Wolf, I thank you for being on the show today.
Appreciate you.
Man, look here, ladies and gentlemen, this is Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. You can catch me on social media, Facebook, Word with Ty Brownlow, Instagram, Word with Ty Brownlow, Twitter, Ty Brownlow TV, and on YouTube, Word with Ty Brownlow. Or if you just go to my website, tybrownlow.com, you can get all this good knowledge over here, all right? Man, brother, I thank you, and we out. Peace.
I appreciate it.